One of our foundational ideas in economics is that we want to do the best that we can with what we have in some way. And we typically assume that all of the actors within some economic system are trying to make themselves off, at least to the best that they know how to do. In order to see whether the choices that people are making themselves as well off as possible, and also in order to analyze different options that we might have as a society and see which is going to make the most people as well off as possible, we introduce this idea of economic efficiency. We say that an outcome, which might well mean something like the allocation of goods or the set of people who get to trade in a market and the trades that they make, or something along those lines. We say that an outcome is more economically efficient if it gives us more economic surplus, where economic surplus is this thing that we defined way back in lecture 1 or 2, the idea that everything that we do, every decision that we make has some benefits and some costs, and if we subtract the costs away from the benefits, we get the economic surplus deriving from that action. Our general idea in economics is that we want to make all of these economic surpluses as big as possible. We say that an outcome is economically efficient, not more economically efficient, but now the economically efficient outcome, if it gives us the biggest possible economic surplus. Now, we don't necessarily have a way to measure this yet, apart from for an individual trying to have a look at their benefits and costs, but we're going to get there real soon. Now, sometimes one outcome makes everyone better off compared to another outcome, but most of the time this isn't the case. Most changes that happen are going to help some people and hurt some people. I mentioned one here. Airbnb is something that has certainly increased the amount of economic activity by allowing people to lease properties short term that may have gone unused otherwise. But it certainly has some downsides as well, because some of those properties that wouldn't have been leased are now going to be leased out, and there are some people who believe that's not such a good thing. If I've got a house, for example, in a neighborhood that I rent out through Airbnb, then suddenly there's a lot more activity that the neighbors may well not enjoy. So the point of this is that, look, most economic outcomes, most changes that happen make some people better off and some people worse off. In order to decide whether an outcome is a good one or not, one, we would want to try and figure out if it maximized in some way this economic surplus, but we would also want to see if that resulted in greater equity. What is equity? Nothing more than fairness. And while equity has become a bit of a taboo word in some circles, fairness is something that we can all agree on as at least in general, a good goal. It's not easy, though, to define exactly what fairness means in this situation. We typically ignore this at the principles level. We typically ignore equity, but we'll sort of have it in the background as an idea that certain outcomes, while they might be more economically efficient, may also be less fair. So just try and keep that in mind as we're looking at a lot of the things that we examine through these next 2 lectures.